Hey everybody, Pastor Bo Wagner here. I want to take a couple minutes. I want to read you something real quick. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. Zak's feet trudged heavily as he walked into the room, the soldiers behind him shoving him roughly forward as his steps faltered. A resounding thud echoed against the expansive room as the doors swung shut behind him, the noise a solemn portent of his doom. The cuffs on his wrists clanked together noisily, the heavy metal biting into the skin of his wrist. The fact that they'd used actual chains rather than just energon cuffs was just another psychotic way of putting him in his place, he supposed. But his chains couldn't weigh him down more than the knowledge that he had failed to escape, had failed to defy the tyrant who had promised to drag him back to Earth, had failed his friend. He didn't know where Daragon was. He didn't know if he was okay. Had they hurt him? Had he managed to get away in time? The soldiers shoved him to his knees in front of a large desk. He winced at the impact, but bit his lip and didn't make a sound. The man behind the desk stood to see him better. His cold smirk proclaimed his identity to Zak as clearly as the name tag that declared the desk and room as belonging to Tillermanson himself. He paced around the desk and stopped in front of his prisoner. Blue eyes met green in a battle of wills. "Well, Zak Blue," he sneered, "I told you we would meet again." Zak's eyes shot open and he gasped and sat bolt upright. The metal floor of the Falcon Wing's cockpit hummed gently underneath him. Daragon stood above him, warbling anxiously, with an electropike, probably what he'd used to shock Zak from his trance, in his hand. The teenager groaned as he remembered Andromeda's last words to him. "You will never be at peace, Zak Blue. Your mind belongs to me." He shoved himself to his feet and stomped down the corridor of the Falcon Wing to the cell that held the source of his hallucinations, growling and grumbling threats under his breath the entire way. What he wouldn't give to drop the headache he'd picked up off in some distant corner of the universe. He opened the cell door and glowered at the smirking expression that met his own. "Bad daydreams?" Andromeda taunted sarcastically. "Get out of my head," Zak snarled. It had been 7 days since the Falcon Wing had left Veleronis 4. 7 long, irritating, dangerous, frustrating, exasperating, unpredictable, tense days. To say that Zak and Daragon were not on good speaking terms at the moment would be something of an understatement. Zak's unilateral decision to take Andromeda with them from Veleronis 4 as they continued their way across the universe had turned what should have been an enjoyable jaunt, minus the pursuit of planetary command, of course, into a source of constant mental warfare. So how did it manage to come to this? Zak Blue, our now 17-year-old genius hero with questionable character, and his Tark friend, Daragon, had escaped Earth only recently. For some unknown reason, all of Planetary Command was chasing them, no less a personage than Prime Minister Tillermanson himself, in charge of Planetary Command, had sent Zak a message warning him that he would move heaven and earth to bring him back in chains, and Zak had no idea why. Zak and his half-human, half-reptile buddy had, utterly improbably, navigated the Leonid expulsion, the very Leonid expulsion that had been the downfall of Davian Desaad, Zak's hero, thereby giving themselves a sizable head start. By the time the pursuit navigated around that deadly area, Zak and Dee were long gone. They had at random picked out the planet Veleronis 4 as a place to lay low for a while so that the pursuit of them would cool off. Unbeknownst to them both, though, 2 mind-benders were battling each other for control of the people of that world. They were not interested in money or physical possessions. They both craved chaos for chaos' sake. Long story short, Zak and Daragon had saved that world by imprisoning one of them in a cave and, unbeknownst to Daragon, stunning the other one, Andromeda, transporting her to the brig of the Falcon Wing, and leaving with her. Thus, Zak's hallucinations. Zak reached out to the holographic control panel hovering just in front of Andromeda's cell, tapped a few buttons, and substantially increased the ultra-high frequency squeal he was counting on to teach Andromeda who was boss around here. She immediately fell to her knees, holding the sides of her head and squinting in pain as a sharp scream tore from her throat. To Zak's surprise, her form wavered as she did, flickering back and forth between the lovely creature she made his mind see and the Tark she had been making Daragon see. And then, more rapidly than he could keep track of, she took on the appearance of person after person, creature after creature, some of which he could not even begin to identify. But as she did, he saw that each one had a common trait at the moment. All of them had tears running down their cheeks. Zak tapped the buttons and backed off on the squeal. He knew he probably shouldn't feel bad about her or him or it feeling pain, but for whatever reason he did. Curse these blasted newfound morals. Slowly, Andromeda regained the form she had first shown him. 5'5", thin as a wisp, hair as black as raven, flawlessly smooth skin, eyes so blue they made Zak's look dull by comparison. She continued to kneel on the ground, gasping a bit for breath. "Who are you, really, and what do you really look like?" he asked with both a touch of concern and genuine curiosity. She looked up at him, contempt written all over her now lovely face, and spat in his direction. The saliva landed harmlessly on the energon barrier keeping her in the cell, sizzling as it faded. He sighed, out of disgust, of course, not out of any pity for her pathetic state. "Falcon Wing," he said in a businesslike manner, "watch me at all times. If I even look like I'm having a hallucination, turn the squeal back up and keep it going till I have enough time to recover, casually walk over here myself and turn it off." Then he turned and walked back down the corridor toward the cockpit. That is chapter 1 of my brand new book, Zak Blue and Zak Blue Part 2, The Great Space Chase, Enter the Maelstrom. And what's cool about this one is that my daughter, Karis, is my co-author in this one. I wrote Zak Blue Part 1, Falcon Wing, a few years ago. I wrote it for her because she loves science fiction but couldn't find any good clean science fiction. That's getting hard to find these days. And then now we have together continued the series in this one. So if you are looking for good, clean science fiction, something that Christians can read and enjoy without fear, but a lot of adventure, a lot of mystery, and a lot going on in this series. And it's going to take a long time to get Zak back to Earth and figure out exactly what's going on. So if you're looking for good, clean science fiction, my daughter and I believe have just the thing for you there. This is Zak Blue and the Great Space Chase, Part 2. Enter the Maelstrom, and Part 1 is obviously out there as well. So check that out. God bless you. Have a great day.